The galaxy was vast, full of life, full of civilizations that had thrived for millions of years. Great cities floated in orbit around shining stars, planets buzzed with activity, and countless species lived in peace. Among all these civilizations, humans were small, insignificant, and mostly ignored. Earth, their home planet, was tiny, covered in oceans and green lands, and humans had barely begun to explore the stars. Aliens of every shape and size had heard of humanity. Most of them dismissed humans as weak, fragile creatures. Too small to matter, the Galactic Council would whisper. Too disorganized to survive a true challenge. Humans themselves did not know how little they were noticed. They worked, they laughed, they dreamed, and they struggled to survive, oblivious to the grand politics of the galaxy. But that calm was about to end. It started quietly. Scout ships appeared at the edge of the Milky Way, massive and unlike anything any species had seen. They moved like shadows, silent and deliberate, sending ripples of fear across star systems. The scouts did not attack immediately. They observed, they scanned, and their arrival was enough to spark panic. Messages from the nearest civilizations poured in. The Armada approaches. "Flee now," cried one species. "Hide in the outer reaches," shouted another. Entire fleets turned away from their home worlds and ran, abandoning planets, trade routes, and colonies. Fear spread faster than light. No one wanted to stay and fight, not even the most advanced species. But humanity reacted differently. At first, they didn't even fully understand what was happening. Satellites in orbit picked up strange energy signals, and astronomers noticed unusual movements in space. Soon, alerts flashed across Earth's communication networks. Massive ships were entering the solar system, moving toward the inner planets with unstoppable speed. Humans panicked, yes, but they did not flee. Not one spacecraft turned back. Not one city emptied in fear. Instead, leaders called for calm, scientists analyzed the ships, and ordinary citizens prepared as best they could. "We cannot hide," said the president of the United Earth Federation in a broadcast to billions. "We may be small, but we are not powerless. We will face this together. Earth is our home. We will stand." It was a bold speech, one that inspired millions. Across the planet, people stopped running to shelters and instead went to work. Engineers worked on protective shields. Programmers tried to hack alien signals. Pilots prepared aircraft, and citizens learned to coordinate in ways that had never been necessary before. The aliens' arrival was spectacular. Massive ships hung in the sky, blocking out stars, their surfaces glowing with strange energy. They were built for domination, built to conquer. When their shadows touched Earth, it felt as if the entire planet had been swallowed by darkness. And yet humans did not cower. The first contact was not violent. The aliens emitted pulses of energy, scanning and testing the planet. Humans tried to communicate, using every language, every signal they could send. The aliens ignored them, expecting nothing more than confusion. That miscalculation would soon prove fatal for their pride. In the midst of this, small teams of human scientists discovered something incredible. The aliens' energy shields, while immense, could be disrupted by certain electromagnetic patterns. Using old satellites and newly built devices, humans began experimenting. At first, the tests failed. Pulses bounced harmlessly off the alien hulls, but failure only drove humans to try harder. They worked day and night, sometimes without sleep, sharing ideas and adjusting plans constantly. Meanwhile, the world watched. Alien ships were everywhere in the skies, yet humans moved as one. Roads were filled with convoys delivering supplies. Air traffic was rerouted to avoid panic. Hospitals and shelters were open, but only as a precaution. No mass hysteria, no chaos. Even as the alien armada grew larger, humans remained calm. Children watched the skies with wonder, not fear. Scientists shared their progress with the public, showing that solutions were possible. Ordinary people working together became part of the effort. There were no weapons of mass destruction, no violent uprisings. Humans relied on ingenuity, coordination, and courage. Across the galaxy, other species noticed. From distant observation posts, they whispered, "Humans are standing. Humans are not running." The aliens, meanwhile, were confused. They had expected no resistance and certainly no organized action. They sent small landing teams to assess the planet. Cities prepared, not with guns or bombs, but with decoys, drones, and electromagnetic fields. Alien scouts found streets empty of the fear they anticipated. Streets were full of humans calmly watching, ready to respond, ready to adapt. It was an entirely new kind of challenge. One scout ship landed near a city. Its towering form should have intimidated humans. Instead, they approached it. Engineers sent out signals, confusing the alien scanners. Drones moved in patterns that disrupted its sensors. Humans were everywhere, but not attacking, just observing, testing, responding. And that was when the first sign appeared. The aliens had underestimated humans. In one small city, a child accidentally interfered with a communication line. The resulting pulse disrupted the alien ship's sensors, causing it to retreat slightly. It was unintentional, but it revealed a truth the humans would soon embrace. They had the power to fight in ways no one else had considered. By the time the night fell across Earth, humans had transformed. The panic of the first hours was gone. The world worked as one organism, moving with speed, intelligence, and purpose. From the largest cities to the smallest villages, humans prepared not to die but to defend. And not just defend. They were learning, adapting, becoming something the aliens could not predict. Other species were still fleeing, but humans stood. They looked up at the dark shapes in the sky and whispered to each other, "We are not afraid." And then, as if to punctuate the moment, a massive energy pulse washed over the planet. Satellites went offline. Communications flickered. Alien signals jammed human devices. The Armada had just made its first move. For most civilizations, this would have been the end. Panic, chaos, and surrender would follow, but not on Earth. Human leaders coordinated emergency networks. Scientists and engineers worked frantically, sending messages through alternate frequencies. Citizens followed instructions, kept calm, and helped each other. It was a quiet resistance, invisible to the aliens but powerful. Humanity had chosen to fight, not with violence but with creativity, intelligence, and unity. And this choice, small though it seemed, would soon change the fate of the galaxy. The alien armada hovered, massive and unreadable. Their weapons were immense, their technology advanced, and yet for the first time they faced a species that did not run, a species that did not panic, a species that stood tall. As night fell, humans looked at the stars, their hearts steady. The coming days would be the greatest test of their history. But one thing was certain: Earth would not fall quietly. Humans would fight in their own way against impossible odds, and somehow, against all expectations, they were ready. For the first time in the galaxy's history, the invaders were about to learn a lesson. Humanity cannot be ignored. The alien fleet hung over Earth like a dark cloud, massive and threatening. They had expected to find fear, chaos, and easy surrender. Instead, they found order, intelligence, and a quiet determination that none of their scouts could understand. From orbit, the aliens observed the humans moving as one. Cities were organized. Emergency response teams guided civilians. Engineers worked in labs, constructing devices that emitted strange pulses of energy. Pilots took to the skies in small fighter crafts, performing maneuvers that the aliens could not predict. Even children and students contributed, carrying messages, repairing broken equipment, and observing patterns that adults missed. It was a level of coordination the aliens had never encountered. Every other species had fled the moment the invasion began. They assumed survival meant running. but humans believed survival meant standing together and adapting. The first encounter came near the city of New Chicago. A small alien scout ship descended silently into the outskirts, its enormous metal form glowing with energy. Humans watched from a distance, careful not to panic. Engineers had prepared a device that emitted electromagnetic pulses, designed to interfere with alien sensors. When the ship landed, its scanners immediately detected movement, and it began sending signals to communicate. The humans responded, not with fear, not with weapons, but with clever countersignals. The pulses bounced back, confusing the ship's sensors. Lights flickered on its surface, and its internal systems emitted low hums of distress. The aliens were not used to this. They had conquered worlds with fear and force, not with intellect and creativity. They tried again, recalibrating their instruments, sending stronger signals. But the humans adapted again. Each attempt the aliens made was met with a faster, smarter response. Meanwhile, in the sky, humans launched drones to monitor the alien movements. These were not weapons, they were tools, equipped with cameras, sensors, and small emitters to jam signals. The drones moved in intricate patterns, weaving around the alien ship, causing its scanners to misinterpret distances and positions. Every time the aliens attempted to land troops, they found the ground shifting beneath them, illusions and false readings everywhere. From a control room deep underground, Dr. Alina Morales, one of the lead engineers, watched the results on her screen. "They think we are disorganized," she said to her team, her voice steady despite the tension. "They have no idea how we think. Keep sending the pulses. Keep them confused." Her words captured the human advantage. They were unpredictable. The aliens calculated strategy based on patterns, and humans had none. Their strength was creativity, adaptability, and unity. Where the aliens saw weakness, humans saw opportunity. Across the world, similar events were unfolding. In Tokyo, engineers used skyscrapers as natural amplifiers for energy pulses. In Cape Town, students hacked satellite signals to create holographic decoys, projecting massive human armies that did not exist. In Sao Paulo, citizens guided alien drones into areas filled with reflective surfaces, confusing their sensors. The aliens were stunned. Every species they had conquered had relied on brute force. None had tried to outsmart them in this way. None had coordinated on such a massive scale without weapons. They were facing something new, a species that fought with intelligence and spirit rather than firepower. Even at the governmental level, humans surprised them. Leaders from different countries worked together for the first time in history, sharing data, coordinating defenses, and making split-second decisions to protect the planet. Old rivalries were set aside. Borders did not matter. Humanity became one organism, united by survival and courage. In one particularly daring act, a group of engineers in Paris created a system of mirrors and lenses that reflected alien energy pulses back at the fleet. The effect was chaotic but harmless. They were not trying to destroy the ships, only to confuse and disrupt them. Alien ships began to hesitate, unable to predict where humans would act next. Reports of these successes reached other species across the galaxy. From distant observation posts, aliens whispered to each other in disbelief. Humans are resisting. They are not running. They are adapting. Back on Earth, the alien fleet decided to send an emissary, a humanoid figure, tall and glowing, meant to communicate with humans directly. They assumed negotiation would be easy. They assumed humans, facing impossible odds, would surrender if approached politely. They were wrong. The emissary landed in a remote valley in Colorado where humans had prepared a safe meeting zone. Scientists, engineers, and pilots gathered, waiting calmly. The emissary emerged from a shimmering energy field, its voice echoing in the minds of all present. "You are small. You are weak. Why do you resist?" the alien demanded. Dr. Morale stepped forward. "We are not weak," she said, her voice calm but firm. "We are humans, we adapt. We work together, we survive, that is our strength." The alien paused, confused. It had conquered countless worlds, defeated countless species, and yet it could not understand this response. Humans did not act out of fear. They did not react predictably. They used intelligence, teamwork, and courage. The alien tried to demonstrate power, sending a low-frequency pulse through the valley. Machines buzzed and shook. Humans did not flee. They adjusted their shields, rerouted energy, and continued their work. The pulse disrupted some systems temporarily, but humans adapted faster than the alien could react. For the first time in the galaxy, the alien emissary realized humans were not like other species. Fear could not control them. Threats could not force them to run. Humans had something more, something intangible but powerful: spirit. Across Earth, ordinary humans performed extraordinary acts. School teachers guided children through emergency drills. Farmers used old irrigation systems to redirect energy fields harmlessly. Pilots and engineers coordinated, communicating through improvised channels to protect both civilians and the planet. Even children contributed. In one school, a group of students noticed a pattern in the alien drone's movement. They reported it to engineers, who quickly implemented a countermeasure that disrupted the drone's flight. The aliens were baffled. How could such small beings, so inexperienced, anticipate their moves? The alien fleet above began to change tactics. They tried to land troops in isolated areas, expecting less resistance. But every time, humans had already adapted, using decoys, sensors, and clever engineering to thwart them. Nothing was permanent. Every new plan the aliens made was met with a new human response. By now, panic among the aliens began to grow. Their calculations, their experience, their history, all of it failed against humans. They expected fear. They expected chaos. They did not expect order, intelligence, and courage. Humanity's unexpected strength became a beacon. Other species, still hiding in the distant corners of the galaxy, watched in disbelief. Some began to reconsider their flight. Perhaps survival did not always mean running. Perhaps there was more to the small species called humans than anyone had imagined. As night fell over Earth, humans did not sleep. They worked tirelessly, improving systems, analyzing alien behavior, and preparing for the next move. They were calm, focused, and united. Fear existed, of course, but it was channeled into action, not panic. And somewhere above them, the alien emissary hovered, confused and frustrated. It had never encountered a species like this, one that resisted not with brute force, but with intelligence, unity, and courage. Dr. Morales looked at her team and smiled faintly. "They think they are teaching us fear," she said, "but we are teaching them something they cannot understand." The aliens had underestimated humanity, and it was a mistake that would change everything. For the first time, humans were not only surviving, they were winning without a single shot fired, proving that strength could come from the mind and the spirit, not just from weapons. And the galaxy was beginning to notice. The part ended with the alien emissary returning to the fleet, sending reports of confusion and resistance. Meanwhile, humans across the planet coordinated for the next day, knowing the aliens would attempt something even larger. But they were ready. For every alien move, humanity had a counter, a plan, a solution. It was becoming clear. This would not be a war of destruction. It would be a war of intelligence, courage, and spirit. And humanity was leading the charge. The alien fleet hovered above Earth, immense and silent, as if waiting for humans to make a mistake. They had underestimated the humans once, and now their confusion had turned to caution. Every move the aliens made was met with an intelligent response, a countermeasure, or a clever adaptation. It was frustrating for a species that had never known failure, and it left them questioning everything they thought they understood about intelligence and power. On Earth, humans were preparing for what they suspected would be the aliens' next attempt. From every corner of the planet, experts, engineers, pilots, and ordinary citizens coordinated, forming a global network of strategy and defense. Unlike any other species, humans used communication, observation, and ingenuity rather than brute force. They studied the aliens' patterns, predicted movements, and created solutions faster than the aliens could adapt. In a control room under the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Alina Morales and her team monitored the alien fleet. Their displays showed energy readings, ship movements, and areas of vulnerability. "They've begun to hesitate," Dr. Morales said, pointing to one large cruiser that paused over North America. "They're trying to figure us out. But they don't understand how we think." Her words were not boastful, they were factual. Humans had an advantage the aliens could not quantify: imagination. Every human problem solver had the freedom to think differently, to innovate, to adapt instantly. The aliens relied on pre-programmed tactics and calculated strategy. Humans could improvise. The first major turning point came in the skies over Europe. Alien scouts attempted to land in multiple cities simultaneously, expecting humans to struggle with so many points at once. Instead, humans used a combination of drones, holographic decoys, and carefully timed energy pulses to confuse the aliens. Each ship thought it was alone. Each area seemed empty or filled with threats that did not exist. Alien sensors misread distances, patterns, and numbers, leading their landing teams to hesitate. In London, a young engineer named Arjun Patel had designed a series of light-reflecting panels to create illusions of towering human figures. From above, the aliens saw enormous armies, though the streets below were calm. They attempted to advance, only to find that their sensors had been fooled again and again. Arjun watched the screens, proud but focused. "They're thinking they are winning," he muttered. "But we're teaching them patience and humility." The aliens, growing increasingly wary, decided to communicate. They sent a new emissary to Earth, this time larger and more imposing than the first. It descended into a neutral zone in the Sahara Desert, expecting to intimidate humans into submission. When it arrived, representatives from all over Earth were already present. Leaders from North America, Europe, Asia, Africa, and South America stood side by side. Scientists and engineers formed a protective network, ensuring that no one area would be vulnerable. The alien emissary spoke, its voice resonating across the desert. "You resist what all others flee from. Your species is small and fragile. Why do you not submit, Doctor?" Morales stepped forward, her voice echoed in the desert wind. "We do not submit because we do not fear. We do not rely on power to solve problems. We rely on our minds, our unity, and our courage. That is why we stand." The alien emissary paused. Its scanners could not read the calm determination in human faces. It sent a low-frequency pulse, attempting to disrupt human electronics, to force fear into their minds. But humans had anticipated this. Backup systems rerouted energy, shields absorbed the pulses harmlessly, and drones projected counter-signals that neutralized the alien attack. The emissary was shocked. It had expected chaos, not calm, confusion, or adaptation. This was unlike any species it had faced. Humans were not predictable. Humans were not weak. Humans were unstoppable, not because of weapons, but because of spirit. As humans watched the emissary struggle to understand them, other species began to take notice. Distant civilizations, previously hiding from the alien threat, observed Earth's resistance. Ships that had fled earlier paused, watching humans work together, adapt, and outthink the invaders. Whispers spread across the galaxy. Perhaps humans are different. Perhaps there is more to them than strength alone. Meanwhile, on Earth, humans were preparing the next phase of their plan. Using knowledge of the aliens' energy patterns, engineers created a global network of signal disruptors, designed not to harm but to confuse and delay the alien fleet. Cities became interconnected hubs of strategy, where every person had a role, observing, calculating, reporting, or improvising. In New York City, a young pilot named Maya Chen guided drones through the streets, creating moving patterns of light that the aliens interpreted as massive human formations. Each drone moved unpredictably, making the aliens' sensors report multiple false locations. The aliens attempted to land in several areas at once, only to find nothing as expected. In the sky above Tokyo, engineers coordinated a massive display of holograms, projecting towering figures and moving vehicles. The aliens, seeing what looked like enormous human battalions, hesitated and then withdrew slightly. Every human effort was precise, coordinated, and intelligent. It was a new kind of resistance that relied on ingenuity, not destruction. The alien fleet, now cautious and confused, began to reconsider its approach. They had faced many species, but none had fought like this. Resistance without aggression, defense without destruction. Humans had created a new model of power. In the midst of all this, Dr. Morales addressed the global network of scientists and leaders. "They think they are teaching us fear," she said, "but we are teaching them something they cannot measure: our intelligence, our spirit, and our courage. They will never understand it, but they will respect it." As the alien fleet repositioned above Earth, humans continued their coordinated efforts. Every new tactic the aliens tried was met with a human response, faster and more creative than they expected, and the galaxy was watching. For the first time, humans were not just surviving, they were teaching a lesson to the invaders and to every other species that had fled. Strength was not only about size or weapons, it was about unity, creativity, and courage. Humans, small and overlooked, were becoming a symbol of resilience. By the end of the day, the aliens had withdrawn slightly, regrouping in orbit. They had learned that Earth was not a simple conquest. Humans were not predictable. Humans were not weak. Humanity had turned the tide without firing a single destructive weapon. From space, the fleeing species began to reconsider. Perhaps survival did not mean running. Perhaps a small species could stand against the greatest threat in the galaxy. As night fell, humans looked up at the stars, knowing that the greatest challenges were yet to come. But for the first time, they also knew that they were not powerless. They had faced an armada, and they had held their ground. Not with violence, not with fear, but with intelligence, unity, and courage. And somewhere in the alien fleet, the emissary recorded its report: "Humans are not what we expected. They cannot be measured by force alone. They are extraordinary." Dr. Morales watched the screen as the emissary transmitted the message. She smiled faintly. "They don't understand us yet," she whispered to her team. "But soon they will." Earth had not only survived the first wave, it had proven that humans could stand against the impossible. And the galaxy was beginning to realize humanity was no longer a small, insignificant species. Humanity was a force of intellect, courage, and ingenuity. The story of humans standing tall in the face of invasion had begun, and nothing, not even the vast, unstoppable alien armada, would be able to ignore it for long. After days of human ingenuity disrupting their plans, confusion had set in among the invaders. They had underestimated humans once, twice, and now a pattern had emerged. Humanity did not act like other species. They did not panic. They did not flee. They adapted, thought quickly, and solved problems in ways the aliens could not predict. From orbit, alien commanders observed Earth with frustration. Every attempt to force compliance or test human limits had failed. Humans were everywhere, organized, united, and calm. They had turned the tide not with violence, but with intelligence, creativity, and courage. On Earth, humans were preparing for what they knew would be the alien fleet's next move. Scientists, engineers, pilots, and ordinary citizens coordinated across the globe. Communication networks linked continents. Energy pulses, holographic decoys, drones, and clever devices created a living, moving defense system. Humans were ready not just to survive, but to show the galaxy what they were capable of. In Geneva, leaders of Earth's unified government convened a meeting. Dr. Alina Morales addressed the room. "They are planning something big," she said. "But we are ready. We've adapted, learned, and turned their confusion into advantage. Humanity stands united. We are not a species they can intimidate, not with fear, not with force." Her words were met with nods and determination. Across the planet, people were preparing for the next stage. Unlike other species, humans were not hiding. They were standing tall, not with weapons of destruction, but with intelligence and unity. The aliens made their move. A massive energy field descended over Earth, larger than anything humans had seen. It was meant to isolate, to immobilize, to intimidate. But humans had anticipated it. Using their network of engineers and scientists, they rerouted the energy, creating safe channels and reflective pathways that neutralized the field's effect. Drones projected massive holographic cities, entire armies, and moving formations that the aliens' sensors interpreted as concentrated resistance. Human engineers had designed a system that constantly changed patterns, keeping the aliens off balance. Every maneuver the fleet attempted was met with human adaptation. From space, alien commanders were bewildered. Every calculation failed. Every prediction was wrong. They had assumed fear, confusion, and surrender, but humans remained calm, focused, and creative. Humanity had become a force they could not measure or control. The alien emissary returned to Earth one last time, seeking direct communication. It descended in a neutral zone near the Himalayas, massive and glowing, expecting to command submission. But humans were ready. Scientists and leaders surrounded the area, calm and organized. Citizens and volunteers had formed observation posts, guiding every move. "You have resisted when others fled," the emissary said. Its voice echoed over mountains and valleys. "You are small. You are fragile. Why do you not submit?" A young human engineer named Liam stepped forward. His eyes were steady. "We do not submit because we are human," he said. "We think, we work together, we adapt. We face challenges with courage and creativity. That is our strength. That is what makes us unstoppable." The alien paused, processing the words. It attempted another energy pulse, expecting humans to falter. Instead, the pulse was absorbed, redirected, and used to power emergency networks. Humans had turned the alien attempt into an advantage, strengthening their defenses and coordinating systems even further. Across the world, ordinary humans performed extraordinary acts. Schoolchildren relayed signals, farmers used old equipment to redirect energy, and pilots coordinated movements with drones and holograms. Every person had a role. Every action contributed to a global effort. Humanity was no longer a scattered species. It was one living, thinking organism. The alien fleet, observing these actions, began to withdraw slightly. They were not retreating in fear, but in recognition. They had encountered something new, a species that refused to be intimidated, that fought without violence, that turned intelligence, courage, and unity into a form of power no weapon could match. From distant corners of the galaxy, other species watched. They had fled in terror at the invasion, assuming survival meant hiding. But now they saw humanity standing tall, facing an impossible threat with courage and skill. Whispers spread across the stars. Humans are different. Humans cannot be ignored. In New York, Dr. Morales and her team monitored the alien fleet. "They are learning something they did not expect," she said. "They are realizing humans are not just survivors. We are thinkers, creators, and problem solvers. We are a species that cannot be measured by force alone." As the aliens regrouped, a surprising event occurred. Representatives from other species, those who had fled at the first sign of the invasion, began returning. Ships cautiously approached Earth, observing humans from a distance. The fleeing species had realized something important. Survival was not about running. It was about courage, ingenuity, and unity. Humanity had demonstrated what it meant to stand tall in the face of danger. In orbit, alien commanders convened. "We cannot predict them," one said. "We cannot control them. We underestimated them. Perhaps we should negotiate." The emissary returned to Earth, signaling a willingness to communicate peacefully. Humans were ready, not with weapons, but with wisdom. They had earned respect through intelligence and courage, proving that strength could take many forms. Leaders from Earth welcomed the alien emissary, not with hostility but with clear terms: peace, cooperation, and mutual understanding. The aliens, having faced the resilience and ingenuity of humanity, agreed. For the first time in history, humans had not only survived a threat from a far greater species, they had earned a place in the galactic community. Celebrations erupted across Earth, not as a victory of destruction but as a triumph of spirit. People looked at the stars, proud of what they had achieved. Humans had shown the galaxy that courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome fear, confusion, and even the most advanced technology. Stories of human ingenuity spread across civilizations. Other species began to recognize humanity as a symbol of resilience and creativity. Where once humans were overlooked, they were now respected and admired. They had faced the impossible and stood firm, not because of weapons but because of their minds, hearts, and determination. In a small town in Germany, a child pointed to the stars. "We did it," they said softly. "We stood and we won." Dr. Morales looked up at the night sky, smiling. "Not just one," she whispered. "We earned our place." The alien emissary, observing Earth one last time, recorded its report: "Humans are extraordinary. They cannot be measured by strength alone. They are creative, courageous, and united. They are a species that cannot be ignored." And so, humanity had done the unthinkable. They had faced a threat that had terrified the galaxy, and they had not only survived, they had led. Other species had fled, but humans had stood. And standing, they had shown the universe what it truly meant to be human. The galaxy had learned an important lesson: fear could be resisted, power could be challenged, and even the smallest species could earn its place among the stars through courage, intelligence, and unity. Earth, once overlooked, now shone brightly as a beacon of hope and inspiration. Humanity had not only defended its home, they had become an example for all civilizations, a testament to the strength of the human spirit. As the stars sparkled above, humans looked to the future, ready for the challenges to come. They had faced the impossible, and they had prevailed.